Barcelona saw Topi win for the first time since round 2 at Daytona. This may have wound up being a critical victory for Courtiniemi, needing to start regaining ground on Olenek at this point. Today starts the last leg of the championship. So will the Finn continue to reel the American back in? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Lotus 49 Sunday Grand Prix series as we get ready to watch it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Laguna Seca is already a tough circuit, but throw the Lotus at it and it becomes diabolical. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2.25 miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come. Well, Ryan, this is a track that many of the racers are probably familiar with, so what do you expect with the Lotus 49 out here today?
Yeah, I think we should expect an exciting race around this fantastic 2.238 mile track. The track is quite famous for hosting the Real Life IndyCar series, along with MotoGP, the American Le Mans series, now formerly known as the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and a whole range of other series. But today it will be host to the Lotus 49 series, and there's 11 turns this track, and passing places are going to be possibly into turn 1, the Andretti hairpin, but the danger zones could be also the corkscrew if you try and make a move and it goes horribly wrong. But I think the aim for today, or the main aim for these drivers, is going to be just trying to keep out of trouble and just finishing the race, especially for the main championship contenders in the F1 and F2 championships.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be tough with this many cars out here today. Now, the championship is interesting because it's not fully far apart at this point. In fact, Mick Claridge and Topi Courtiniemi are only 25 points behind Rob Olenek, so they could catch up in these remaining rounds. But the downfall is that Rob has been consistent, and he is going to be hard to beat in that sense and gaining enough points on. Tyler, Trangrade, and Murakami round out your top 5. They're a little bit farther back. What about the F2 championship, Ryan?
Yeah, the F2 championship for most of the season has been led by Finland's Pekka, who's having a great season. But Dave Cohen in second place is only 25 points behind. So if Risto is to have any issues, especially today, Colin just needs to finish and pick up as many points as possible to close that gap. But another Finnish driver rounds out the top 3 with Hideki Koivisto, currently still mathematically in with a chance of the championship, with Francis Emmanuel Pereira in 4th and Andrew M from the United States rounding out the top 5. So the F2 championship, especially at the top, is still all to play for.
And speaking of those countries of origin in the Nations Cup, it's a little bit tight up at the top, but from there on down, things get very spread apart. The United States and Finland trying to duke that one out. The UK wants to get back into it, and they could maybe have a shot at returning to 4 here. But then you look down at Norway and France, and things are getting a little far away, especially this late in the season. As for today's race, what are they up against, Ryan?
So the race details for today is round 9 of the 12-round season, and today the race length will be 25 laps, with the setup as being open as always, and the incident limit is 17x rather, and there will be a penalty with 25x being a disqualification from the race. And just a side note as well, the race start for today will not be a standing start, it will be a rolling start, interestingly.
Yeah, that'll be one to watch for sure, and hopefully the drivers have all been made aware at this point. I know there was lots of discussion over the radio as soon as we got into the session, but right now we are in the midst of the qualifying session here, and up at the top of it, Tope Korteniemi currently holds the provisional pole, which has been taken by Mick Claridge just now by about 1/10 of a second. We're going to see if Michel Dudignon can do something about that. Olenek only down in 6th on his first lap. Wonder if he had a mistake in there, because he's about 1.2 seconds off the pole time. Here comes the Frenchman, and he crosses with a 1:20.1. That is not going to be pole, but it'll be good enough for the second row.
It was Jordan Zoko comes across the line now to complete his lap, and Jordan Zoko, the brother of Benjamin Zoko as well. But looking at Javier Sanchez coming around the final corner to complete his first lap, and it looks like it'll be in the 120s as it comes across the line. It's a 1:21.4.
And then Ove Trangerade is up next. Let's see if he can be fast enough for a top 5 here today. It's a 1:20.2. That'll be good enough for 4th, so outside of the second row for him. Sanchez unfortunately had his lap deleted, so that one does not count. We're still waiting on Antonio Reese to get out there and set a lap. Massa has yet to put one down. And Korteniemi on his second one does not improve, so he's unable to overtake Claridge, who also does not improve. So as we look at Bill Tyler, and he unfortunately has that lap deleted. So Michel Dudignon, can he overtake that pole position? Can he get another win this season? He's down to the line. It's looking relatively quick. And it is a 20 flat. That is going to be a tie practically with Topi Korteniemi just as the checkered flag waves, and our grid is set with a few drivers that did not set a time. Let's go through that starting order. As Mick Claridge is on the pole, Korteniemi is off him by a fair margin, but Michel Dudignon is so close with him. Practically a tie there, down to the 1,000th of a second, starting from 3rd. Ove Trangerade, P4 for him. Bill Tyler with 5th. Rob Olenek, mysteriously far down today, starting from P6. Pekka Risto will be in 7th. Ben Zoko, 8th today, as Chris Murakami starts 9th. And to his outside, it'll be Antti Kärinen.
Starting at 11th is Laus Dawson, with Antonio Reis alongside him in 12th, with Colin Bentley 13th, Gwen Delanold 14th, with Hideki Koivisto in 15th, Matthew Maudsley 16th, Nimcross Jr. in 17th, with Robert Plumley 18th, Connor Babel in 19th, and rounding out the 20 is Michael Gringsinger.
Dave Cohen starts 21st with Ang in 22nd. Jordan Zoko will be P23. Last driver to set time, Steve O'Malley in 24th. Sanchez, Massa, Wallbank, and Takayama will start from the back of the field without qualifying times here today. And there you see, that is the pace car. You're not mistaken here on a road course. We're going to get a rolling start. You know, I was amused in the practice session, Ryan, when we hopped in. Nim Cross was actually getting on the radio and alerting drivers, do not try and game the start off that final hairpin. You are supposed to not pass before the start-finish line. So the head steward of iRacing is still keeping watch, even though he's in competition mode.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been known in the past that some drivers with a rolling start, they like to try and maybe just hang back and try and gain some track position before they cross the start finish line. So it's good to know that everyone's been kept an eye on, and hopefully no one tries to do anything too silly, especially heading down to the first corner when we get underway.
So just about have everybody gridded up. Yes, we do. So the pace car now takes off and leads them away. Some getting started sooner rather than others. But they'll get this lap to try and get themselves ready to go. And I don't think they'll need a whole lot of tire warming here, as it is 100 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface right now. So not super hot, but a little bit toasty. They continue to work their way around the infield portion. This is a part of the track that wouldn't have been around when the 49 was racing at this, well, wasn't really racing at this track, but was around and racing in the real world. The U.S. Grand Prix took place over on the other side of the country at Watkins Glen. I wonder if anybody maybe took one of these cars out here to give a go after it was done with Formula One competition, perhaps, as we watch them come up through the nefarious turn 6 and towards the corkscrew. I have to think that passing is going to be extremely difficult today, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Laguna Seca is one of those tracks that is really difficult to make a move, like you mentioned, especially this run up to the corkscrew. Though Alex and Hardy did do that famous pass in the corkscrew, I can't remember what it was nicknamed, but he went right off the gravel and still won the race. But hopefully we don't see anything like that today in the race.
I don't think we can, because if you cut the course the way he did, you're going to get a slowdown penalty automatically. And plus you got Nim Cross in there, so I don't think anybody's going to try anything sneaky today. In the meantime, the pace car is now leading them up to the final turn, and Mick Claridge will have control of the field around that final corner. Will he hold them? No, he is off immediately. Green flag is out. He gets a good jump over Courtiniemi as Michel Dudignon slots in behind them. Ove Trangrade single file immediately, in fact, pretty far down the field until you get to Pekka Risto, who is in a little bit of a side-by-side fight back behind them. Very orderly as they all make it through turns 1 and 2.
Yep, it looks like everyone's got through relatively cleanly, and at the moment, it's Mick Claridge leading at the moment, and he's had a great start to the race, and surprisingly, everyone's kept it clean as they're heading up to this section here, heading up to the kink, and next up it's the corkscrew.
Olenek was able to get one position there at the start. He's up to 5th place. Important stuff for him to try and not lose too much in this championship hunt as they come up to the corkscrew for the first time. So far, so good through that turn 6. Little look to the inside from Dudignon on Courtiniemi. Nothing doing, though.
Yep, everyone's being sensible through the corkscrew at the moment. Rider on board with Dudignon at the moment. From the front of his car, currently in 3rd place, and at the moment he's had a great start to the race, and just behind him it looks like we've got Ove Trangrade as well, and surprisingly on lap 1 the pack is still relatively close together.
I haven't seen any major errors, and I don't see anybody far behind, so it looks like we are safe through lap 1 out of 25 today. Down into the Andretti hairpin once again. Claridge leads, starting to gap Courtiniemi by about half a second now. We're watching from onboard Trangrade, one of the veterans of this series. Great exit by Dudignon in front of him, but not long enough straight to attack into 4. Another little bobble there from Courtiniemi. He's going to be under attack. Dudignon takes a little bit of a look into turn 5 and then decides against it.
Yep, I think Dudignon was just poking his nose there, just showing that he was there and trying to intimidate Courtiniemi, but Courtiniemi was having none of it as they head through the kink at the moment, and Claridge still just pulling away just a little bit and building up a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, this little fight is really good news for him. The more they distract one another, the more the Claridge will be able to slip away here. Has not been the greatest of seasons for Mick, especially considering how dominant he was in prior seasons. And I'm sure he'd love to get back to that top form. And very close to the gearbox. Dudignon having to brake hard to keep from running into the back of that number 4. Ooh, a little bit of a slide there coming off the turn from Olenek, but he catches it.
Rider on board the rub on it. Oh, he gets sideways heading down to turn 1. How on earth he held that, I'll never know, as Claridge puts in the fastest lap of the race, but great car control from Rob.
Absolutely. Lost a couple tenths, but he is still on the chase as this train of 3 in front of him vies for the second position. Up through turn 4, big slide from the 5 of Ove Trangarate, who catches it, just kicks up a little bit of dust through turn 4. I know he likes a sideways car, but it's always scary when he gets this thing tilted out. Up through turn 6 now. And a very good run from Courtiniemi, able to gap himself over Dudignon. So that'll make him a little bit safer now. The Frenchman has the Norwegian breathing down his neck as they plunge through Rainy Curve.
Yep, and Dudion's still under pressure from Trangrade to head into the final corner. And I think it seems to be the case with some of these drivers as well, that it seems to takes a few laps for them to get into a rhythm, and maybe the track conditions, or track temperatures rather, seem to maybe takes their setup a little bit to get dialed in.
As they head back into the Andretti hairpin once again, it's been pretty orderly throughout the field. Haven't seen much moving and shaking around there. Do have a little bit of a group forming though around Pekka Risto, who's got Murakami, Reese, and Olsen all behind him. That is Risto in the yellow machine, being chased by the 8 of Murakami. You can see how long the braking distances are for this car, with the nose dipping down way early into turn 5, which is usually a very swift turn.
Absolutely, as they head through the kink now and heading up the Rahal straight, heading up to the corkscrew, and Pekka Risto at the moment, he's just pretty much for the remaining rounds, he's just got to finish the race and pick up points in the championship, with leading the F2 championship, as Dave Cohen did not take to the grid.
Fortunate to see for him. And Hideki Koivisto is a ways behind Pekka Risto right now, so he's got some ground to make up if he wants to outscore his rival in the championship. Off of the final turn, Pekka's not gaining on the car in front of him. That's his fellow Finn Karanen up there in that number 11. He is definitely out of reach for the time being.
Chris Murakami just locks up slightly into the Andretti hairpin and yet manages to survive.
Jim Cross has himself a little bit of fun happening. That's Sanchez chasing him. He's going to look to the inside. Nim lifting a little early, and he is going to let him through. So Sanchez into 17th.
Yeah, it was a good move from Sanchez. Managed to throw it up the inside, and I think Nim Cross just decided not to make a big deal of it at this early stage of the race.
And some of this car just about surviving till that checkered flag, especially at a punishing track like Laguna Seca. So could be a wise move in the end for that staff member. And you can see how tight it is through the rest of the field. Even 5 laps in, I'm seeing a lot of tight little packs forming up here. So pressure is on for a lot of these drivers, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely is, and that's the thing as well with the pace or the times, the pace of these drivers being so close together. You get little packs not just at the front but also towards the back of the field as well, and we're seeing that at the moment with the likes of Murakami, Rees, and Risto, and also being close in a pack.
Back up at the top, Claridge is only half a second ahead. Courtiniemi's keeping him honest. He's not been able to run away with this one. So will he find himself under threat later on, as Topi may be saving his stuff for later. They come up to turn 5. They're bringing along Dudignon, Trangrade as well. The first break that they've got is back to Olenek, interestingly. The number 2 sitting in that 5th place, about a second and a half back.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Ulrich's fallen back a little bit. I thought he would have been right on this pack, but if he wants to try and keep this championship lead, he gets a bit sideways in the corkscrew. If he wants to keep this championship lead, he needs to try and get as many positions and points as possible.
2 wins for Courtiniemi so far at Daytona and Barcelona, whereas Claridge is on a single win. Finally got his first one 2 rounds ago in Chicago. And he wants to make it his second to match Topi and try to get back into this championship hunt. He'll outscore him by about 5 points if he does so, and they finish as they sit. Much wider entry there for Michel Dudignon back in 3rd. Is he trying to size up the Finn?
I mean, it's quite possible he might be planning his move, but just trying to get by around Laguna, make a move around Laguna Seca is difficult. But so you never know, he might just be sitting there planning the move, but at the moment he doesn't seem to be too eager to get by at the moment.
Ooh, very deep into the corner behind. You couldn't see it as we rode on board with Michel. Ove Trangrade had to catch it before it went off track, and he falls way back. In fact, he goes off track that time for sure with 2 wheels into the dirt. Let's take a look at the replay. Something is shaking the Norwegian.
Yeah, look at the replay now, and it looks like he clipped inside curve in that anti-cut. He got away with it, but it looks like heading up to this corner, turn 5. It looks like he just got sideways on the entry, I think, and ran a little bit wide and got sideways again.
Let's see through turn 6. Oh, no, we're not going to watch through turn 6. Sorry. And we come back live, and well, he's regained that ground very quickly, and it's a great run from Dudignon. Could he pull something on Topi Courtiniemi? He could try and outbrake him through turn 1. The swift left-hand kink. Oh, and the defense from Topi cuts him off. This is one of those few times that first little kink up and over the hill really is a corner in this car, and isn't really a corner for many others here in the sim.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, Courtiniemi's handling the pressure brilliantly, and he kind of went to the inside to find his line, but handling the pressure brilliantly. And actually, as a further back, P15, we've got the battle for the 15th as well going on between Coivisto and Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez trying to make up one more spot. We had another pass. Olds actually got passed by Bentley into the hairpin that time by, as we have a little bit of a battle down into turn 5, and Coivisto finds Sanchez to his inside. It's a drag race up the hill. I would not advise going side by side through turn 6, and finally giving it up with a big wiggle. Coivisto falls to 16th. Here comes Maudsley behind him.
Yeah, I was about to say that Coivisto was just not willing to yield, and unfortunately that slowed his momentum up on the exit of the kink, and it's gave Maudsley a big opportunity to close right up to him.
Great move there into turn 5 and finishing the job into turn 6. So as they carry on down into the final hairpin, Old now in front of him after his mistake into turn 1. We see Sanchez get one more qualified, and well, he didn't qualify. He started from 25th rather, and is now up to 15th. So whatever the case for him starting from the back, he's making up for it now. So looking at our second place battle, for a brief while, they were only half a second back from Claridge. That seems to have opened back up to 1.3 seconds. Mick put in his foot down and not allowing them any hope of trying to overtake him, at least at this stage of the race. But Courtiniemi is still pulling along Dudignon and Trangrade. They seem very evenly matched among this trio.
Yeah, absolutely. They're really close together. I was just looking at some of the lap times from the previous laps, and they're so evenly matched on pace as they head into the final corner, and Trangrade closes right onto the rear of Dudignon as they head into the home straight now, and Courtiniemi just caught a bit of the gravel on the exit there, but gets away with it.
As they come up and over the hill. Very good braking for Checkered, closing down on Duden Jan. Looking pretty mighty on the binders, but not good enough to try and get into the inside of him. And Old did get passed by Sanchez just now. So Xavier is now up to 14th. That happened in the final hairpin. Great job from that 6 car.
Yeah, it was a great move as the replay's coming up now, and Fred heading through this downhill section now. It looks like this is where he planned the move and got a great run and just decided to go for it.
No defense there from Old. Gets to the inside. Clean as you like. And he is through. So one more spot, just picking him off bit by bit. Is a top 10 potentially on the cards for that number 6 machine. Certainly seems like he's got the pace for it as it stands right now. 16 laps to go, really, for our drivers. Up at the front, actually, Claridge getting ready to make it 15 laps to go as he is now coming around the final turn once again. So Claridge continuing on as he runs that traditional livery down into the Andretti hairpin. Courtniemi following with Dudignon and Checkered in tow. Trying to remember which car that was that Stewart drove. I want to say it was a Coventry Climax. I might be wrong on that one. I remember him describing it as being a very unfortunate car to drive. One of his worst, I think, was his words on that one. But Mick's making it look fast here today, putting it onto a Lotus chassis. Ooh, it was a bad exit for Dudignon. You can see Checkered is already all over him, but he's not willing to risk it into the corkscrew.
Yeah, backed out of it as you look from Peter McKay's favourite view of the DFV cam, as he calls it. Looking at Checkered and then heading through the final 3 corners now, and Checkered seems to be slightly quicker at the moment as Dudignon gets slightly wide and just clips it inside the anti-cut, but gets away with it as Dudignon's all over the back of him now.
Yeah, Michel has himself a handful with Checkered right there. Look at the counter steering from Checkered. Scary stuff, but he makes it stick. He's certainly on top of it, and amazingly, this is all happening, as he once again slides and gets right up to the gearbox of the Frenchman. Not sure if this is all in control or... and once again, 2 wheels into the dirt. That definitely wasn't in control. Checkered losing ground. I was going to say this is 2 seconds ahead of Olenek, but that little mistake allowed Robbo to catch up slightly.
Yeah, I think Ovi is just overdriving slightly at the moment and just needs to get his head together as Dudignon gets a little bit sketchy through the kink, but manages to hold it as the head up to the corkscrew now. And Checkered's lost a little bit of time to Dudignon in front of him, and it's allowing, like you say, Olenek just to close up ever so slightly.
Down in 15th place, we got a battle between Koivisto and Bentley. A poor exit from Koivisto allows Bentley to catch up. He shows his nose, but no serious attempt into turn 6. Flying up the hill into the corkscrew. He's going to back out early. He doesn't think this is worth the shot on lap 12. And then back down the hill they go once again. Heading into the penultimate corner, turn 10. Highly banked turn. We saw someone set it up out of there before, but nothing doing this time. Maybe out of turn 11 as Bentley doesn't look like he's got the exit he's going to need. Koivisto pulls away by about 3 car lengths, and by the time they hit the binders, there's nothing on for that number 12.
Yeah, just not close enough at the moment, and just lost a little bit of time to just lost a little bit of time on the exit of the final corner, but still managed to close back up again. Looked
very good and tidy through turn 4. That will get him some of that time back, but as they enter turn 5, now up the hill, he is within about 2 or 3 car lengths, but this is not going to be on up in front of them. We've watched Gwendolyn Old lose a couple spots. Could the 14 wind up losing yet another one? As they're, I think, being caught by this pair. Little lockup from Bentley that time, but nothing lost in that one. Let's take a look at how the front is working out. As Mick Claridge has lost it down to half a second once again. It's been an ebb and flow between these two. I'm not exactly sure what's been causing it. Maybe this is just the nature of the pace that they're running. Maybe tiny little errors are allowing them to gain and lose.
Yeah, I was about to say, Claridge, I did notice that the gap to Claridge came down a little bit, and I don't know if he's made a mistake or just doesn't want to push too much, but as Claridge goes a little bit wide in the corkscrew.
Kicks up a little bit of dust, and Cortiniemi gets a whiff of hope. It's down to 0.3 of a second. This is the closest he's been pretty much since the start of the race. If he is perfect through here, he could get a chance into the first hairpin. Let's see what Topi can do. It's smooth and it's decent, but I don't think that's going to be close enough.
Nah, I don't think he's close enough, and I think it would be a bit risky to try a lunge up the inside as Claridge gets a bit sketchy under braking as they head through turn 1. And I think Topi's best opportunity, if he can stay with Claridge, might be, even though it's a risky move, up into the corkscrew, but I think heading down to turn 1 is his best opportunity.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like the most likely place, but unfortunately, if I know Mick, he's going to be expecting that, so it's not going to be easy to catch him off guard. As Mick goes a little wide once again, he's clearly pushing, maybe pushing a little too hard here. Took a lot of curb through turn 6 as well, just bounced it over there. Within 0.2 of a second now. Topi really making sure he is all over the mirrors of that number 3 machine.
Yeah, absolutely. He's absolutely hounding the Claridge now as they head down to the final few corners now, and I think Topi's a lot closer than he has been before, and if he can get close enough on the exit of this final corner, he could possibly try and make a move down to turn 1. Can he get a good exit? It's decent enough.
Doesn't look like it's going to be there for him as he falls back, and Claridge rebuffs the Finn with only 10 laps to go now. Ooh, he's very good on corner entry, though. Look at him close that down. That will be important information for that number 4 if he does manage to get any closer than that. They've been pulling away from Dudignon to the tune of about 1.2 seconds now. But if they do start battling, Michelle could get back into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Dudignon's just there in the background waiting in the wings, and if either of these two have any issues, they get caught up with each other, for example, Dudignon will be happy to take the lead, but at the moment these two are maybe just pulling away ever so slightly as Claridge has a better run through the kink heading up to the corkscrew.
It's only 10 points separating them, so if they finish as they are, Claridge will have it down to 5 points, cutting it in half. Coming out of Rainy Curve, I think he's back on it, 0.6 of a second between them as it was before. A little bit farther down, Bill Tyler and Ben Zocco might be swapping places for 6th soon.
Absolutely. Ben Zocco's been around for the last couple of races, I think, as he takes a sneaky look and just shows Bill Tyler that he's there as Mick Claridge puts in the fastest lap of the race so far, and Zocco is right behind Tyler, but he just can't get close enough heading down to turn 1.
Certainly seems like this is a tough one today. We've seen a lot of drivers just kind of stuck where they are, unable to make any sort of move. We're so used to this sort of thing in modern F1. These cars don't really have issues with the aero wake, but I guess this all comes down to this is This is just a narrow and twisty track.
Yeah, it's a tight track, and like I said before, it's so difficult to make a move around you. The only chance you can do that is if someone in front of you makes a mistake, as Zoko closes right up on Tyler, heading through the kink.
This is all happening at a pretty wide margin up to the cars ahead, about 10 seconds up to Rob Olenek in 5th. So I guess that is where you separate the men from the boys, so to say, here in this race, where the rest of the fields can't quite keep up with the top group down into the final hairpin. And Zoko's not going to have anything this time, although once again, he's just going to make sure that Tyler knows he's there. Meanwhile, Chris Murakami has a similar issue. It's Antonio Reese behind him. Going to try and square off that exit. It was a much wider entry for him. And Chris looks like he did a pretty good job managing it himself, down to 8 laps to go.
Oh, as Murakami gets sideways and just about spins it.
Keeps it from getting worse, but unfortunately, he will lose the position. Let's take a look at that one. I've seen a few drivers do this under braking into the Andretti hairpin. What do you think causes this?
I think Murakami, I was thinking it could be too much brake bias on the rear, but I think Murakami just simply went in too hot on corner entry.
It certainly snapped on him. You saw how sudden the rear tried to go around. Antonio now into 10th, and Chris has another one with Laust Olsen behind him. Up in the top 3 positions, the podium is Claridge, Courtaniemi, Dudignon. It's been that way since the start of the race. It's exactly where they gridded as we got a lapped car going off. And that is Steve O'Malley, the first car to be lapped, honestly, which is a bit surprising since the laps aren't too long around here.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised by that as well, but back up at the front, it's Claridge. He's just managed to pull away ever so slightly from Courtaniemi, and it looks like just watching in the background, Dudignon's actually closed right up on the back of Courtaniemi again.
Yeah, he's trying to make a race out of this, and coming through turn 6, both of them taking a fair bit of curb, but keeping it smooth regardless. Hitting the corkscrew yet again. Seems like Dudignon is just so much better trying to get onto the binders. And they come out of rainy curve, switching directions into turn 10, taking it right down to that apex curb once again. And he's going to close. And they've got traffic in front of them. Could this maybe offer a pick?
That's quite, it's quite possible as they head down to turn 1. The Courtaniemi could get held up by a back marker in the wrong place. For example, heading up to that corkscrew or even before the kink. But yeah, a little lock up in front of these guys as the back marker gets out of the way.
Oh, and it looks like Ben Zoko finally was able to overtake Bill Tyler. Did this happen out of the hairpin? Yeah, it looks like into the hairpin here. Sets him up in turn 10. Looks to the inside. No defense. And Ben is through. Textbook pass for the 9 car. So we come back live, down to 6 laps to go. Dudignon maybe feeling some urgency now. He is getting closer and closer to Courtaniemi. It's as low as 0.2 of a second at times. Will we see a desperate move? Or is Michel going to try and make sure he just finishes and gets a good result?
I think Dudignon, I think he's probably just figuring out now he's running out of time to try and make a move. And I think also with Owe Traingrade not too far behind as well, he needs to try and get a move on and try and make a move as quickly as possible as another back marker gets out of the way in the middle of turn 1. But Dudignon, I think he needs to now is the time to make moves.
Got a bit of a train. Oh, and we just had an off in 18th. That was Nim Cross putting two wheels into the dirt. He was getting close to Robert Plumley. Now instead, he's got to be on his rear guard with Grissinger and Maudsley closing up. Down into turn 10. They've been hovering around this distance to each other for some time now. Little mistakes here and there could open the door. Nim looks pretty good coming out of the final corner, though. So Grissinger is going to have to wait for later. The cars are being lapped very quickly. In fact, I wonder if Claridge will catch them, as Topi Korteniemi is dealing with that lap traffic right now, and it's slowing him up big time. That was Massa that they just went by. This is definitely the sort of opportunity that Dudignon has been hoping for. If he gets someone at just the right time, he could pull a sneak attack on the fin.
He quite possibly could, and as you can see right behind Topi, Dudignon is definitely getting a lot more racing now and wants to try and get by, but again, it's just the same case as usual. It's so difficult to make a move around here unless someone in front of you makes a mistake, as Topi just clips that sausage cab ever so slightly. But as Dudignon gets a little bit sketchy through that right-hander.
Indeed. Seems that Michel Dudignon could have a chance yet, but the problem for him is that Jordan Zocco is the only other one that looks like they're likely to lap, because they're 4 to go, and then ahead of Zocco, Maudsley, the next one in line, is way up the track. So as they approach the corkscrew and plunge back down the hill, Korteniemi has about 0.4 of a second, and it is going to be 3 to go this time by.
Yeah, as they head down to that final corner now, and Claridge is still maintaining that gap, but it looks like it's coming down a little bit. As Topi's closing him down, but also Dudignon is right behind Topi as well. So the top three all on the same picture as they come across the start-finish line and heading down to the Andretti hairpin.
Korteniemi sets the fastest lap this time, as very wide for Michel Dudignon. And as close as he was, he gives much of it away with that one mistake. Is he pushing too hard now? A little bit of an off behind them as well from Trangrade once again. Just kicking up the dirt. He's kind of fallen out of the picture too. Unfortunately, Rob Olenek, a whole 3 seconds behind. His pace has been quite poor. In fact, this is going to be the worst finish for Rob all season long. That's still a testament to him, as a 5th place for your worst is, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, as Mick Claridge manages to get by the back marker of Jordan Zocco, but Topi Korteniemi runs wide in the corkscrew.
And this allows an over-under, and there goes Dudignon. That one little distraction is all he needed. Korteniemi finally makes a mistake. Unfortunately, I think this is really not something he could be to blame for.
Yeah, I don't think you can put any blame on Jordan for that. I think it was just basically he just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it's just one of those things. As Korteniemi just gets caught out under braking, and yeah, it's just one of those racing deals.
Well, it cost him a 2nd place unless he can really charge back in these final 2 laps. Trangrade enjoyed it too, because he's now back in the game, catching up to the gearbox. Oh, but he is a little wide out of the corner. That cost him some time.
And Trangrade's getting a lot more feisty as well. He can sense a podium finish in front of him if Korteniemi slips up again, but still, Korteniemi, as Trangrade gets sideways again, he's absolutely hustling this thing.
Yeah, I don't think this is over, but now they don't have any more lap traffic that will help change those positions. At least we don't expect that to be the case. We're going to have the white flag next time by. Pressure is on. If you're going to make a move, you got to make it now.
Absolutely, as they come through this downhill section now, and Dudignon is in 2nd place, but Korteniemi's not giving it by any means as they head into the final corner, and they come across the start-finish line. It'll be the final lap, but Michel Dunion, he put the pressure on Cortinemi, and Cortinemi, he didn't crack, but Dunion took advantage nevertheless.
Rob Olenek gained a little bit of time on that. He's down to 4 seconds, but it's not a whole lot. It's not anything worth writing home about. He'll probably have to settle for that P5 down through turn 3. And Cortinemi with Trangarade each about half a second apart in this train of 3. Oh, and a big wobble from Ove Trangarade. He somehow catches it, but I think he's out of the fight now.
Yeah, definitely. He's just been overdriving slightly at some points during the race, and it's just cost him, unfortunately, and he's lost touch of that battle for the final step on the podium as he runs wide slightly again.
Getting a lot of dirt on those tires, so I think he's just pushing too hard here late in the race to make up some of that time. Mick Claridge put it on pole. He wants to be back. He is back, as the number 3 is going to be number 1 today. Coming out of the final hairpin, Mick Claridge takes win number 2 in 3 rounds here at Laguna Seca and the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. Michel Dunion second, just ahead of Cortinemi, and Trangarade 4th. Bill Tyler chasing Ben Zocco home. Don't think he's close enough to change this spot, though.
Yeah, it looks like Zocco's going to hold on to that sixth place, rather, as the battle for P12 is coming up to the final few corners as well. It's still Laust Olsen actually has lost that position to Xavier Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez not quite up to a top 10 like I was saying, but it was close. He got to 12th. He was our hard charger for today. Coy Visto finishing exactly where he started, with Gwendolyn just behind him in that 14th spot. Last two to have a little battle is Robert Plumley and Nim Cross Jr. for 17th, but looks like Nim is going to finish 1 position down from where he started, but he will see the checkered flag. Last one on the lead lap will be Maudsley. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. welcome back to Laguna Seca. We just watched round 9 here in the Grand Prix Legends Series, and Mick Claridge took his second win of the season over Michel Dudagnon, who managed to sneak through into second place at the last moment. Topi Kortaniemi is pragmatic about the traffic, I will say. Over the radio, we heard post-race, stuff happens, he said, as he finished third, and Ove Trangarade was fourth behind Tim, overdriving the car a little bit at the end. Rob Olenek has his worst finish of the season, but that's still a fifth place. He'll hold on to that points lead with that one. Ben Zocco was P6 as Tyler's 7th, with Karen N P8 and Risto 9th. Murakami rounds out your top 10.
Finishing 11th was Antonio Rees, with Xavier Sanchez, after starting 25th in the grid, amazingly comes through to finish 12th, with Lars Dawson in 13th, Colin Bentley in 14th, with Hideki Koivisto finishing in 15th after qualifying 15th. 16th was Glenn Delanold, 17th was Robert Plumley, with Nim Cross Jr. in 18th. 19th was Michael Gringziger, and finishing in 20th was Matthew Maudsley.
Then from there, all lap down cars: Zocco, Massa, Babel, Ang, Wallbank, and O'Malley finished the race. Cohen and Takayama did not starts today, unfortunately. But we have our winner with us, Mick Claridge. I'd say you've got your groove back, but you're a bit hot and cold lately. At least today was a hot day.
Oh, hello, Joe, mate. It's good to speak to you, mate. You wouldn't believe it. If you'd have watched yesterday or pretty much the whole of the week, I've been slower than Topi, and Michel's been quickest of all, really, overall, over race distance. And he's been, to be honest with you, I've been shocking. I haven't even been able to do a race stint. Even when I, sat on VRS for hours and hours and hours, I could not get a race stint in. I would crash on lap 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever, and in the end I just started hot lapping. Set was all over the place. So I nicked Michel's set. He put it up on Discord earlier in the week, and I played around with that, got it sort of a bit to what I like. And yeah, I thought it was going to be horrendous when I got pole. I thought they was going to be all over me. Can't believe it, to be honest with you, mate.
Well, they definitely gave you some pressure throughout the race. In fact, we saw that gap widen and then narrow multiple times. What was causing that? Was it little mistakes on your part, or was that just them kind of picking up a bit on you from behind?
I think it was a more Topi messing up in places, really horrible places, like in a couple of turn ones. He messed up, and he messed up in the corkscrew as well. He got a slow down, to be honest, I think, as well. So, I mean, that made the gap huge, and then he brought it back again. But I was, yourself, there's a couple of really stinky corners on this track, under the bridge and then the left kink. I just can't believe how much I nailed it all race, I must have missed the apex once or twice there, and just ran over that curb on the left, that little red bump, what everyone hates. And the car was fine over it, and I just couldn't believe it. Even when there was back markers there, I was still nailing it. Just can't believe it.
Well, sometimes things just click, I suppose. But when we head off to Spa next week, I know in the past you've mentioned that's not one of your best. Do you think you can break the trend of good, bad on these recent races?
No. No, Spa. I'll be very lucky to be on pace with Spa. Topi seems to be on pace everywhere now, so he's going to be quick there, and everyone knows how fast Michel's there when he gets his act together. So and today will probably make him want to practice hard as well, for next week. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If I can get involved in the battle, then yeah, I'd love to do it. Rob will be quick there as well. It's such a tight, especially now after today, the championship's just wide open again. I just can't believe how much today's blown everything open again. So it's just going to be a huge fight to the rest of the season now.
Small apologies for the language there, but anybody you want to thank for?
I swear, sorry, Joe, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
It's okay. And anybody you want to thank that helped make this win possible?
Yeah. Sorry, apologies again. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't even know what I said. There's only one guy that I'm going to thank today because I keep missing him out when I say don't mess with the McKenzie boys, and it's Tony McKenzie. Tony McKenzie.
All right, and that was Mick Claridge, our winner here today. Up next, third place, Topi Kortiniemi, and Ryan has caught up with him.
Yeah, Topi had a fantastic race with Michel Dunion for most of that race, and it looked like you were going to hold on to second, Topi, but unfortunately you caught a back marker in the wrong place at the corkscrew. But third place is still a podium finish and still vital points for the championship.
Yeah, it was just bad luck, and I should have been more careful within the corkscrew. But yeah, it was good battle with Michel. I think he catched us both when I was starting to catch Mick in the end, and yeah, I don't know the championship. I think Rob's championship is closer to being sealed already, so we'll see what happens. But I needed to not DNF this race, so I'm still quite happy with the podium.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you were still having a good race, and it seemed at times you were closing up on Mick, and he just managed to stretch that gap back out a little bit. Was it just Mick was strong in some parts of the track, and you were strong in not the other parts of the track?
It was kind of like it's not possible to pass without the guy in front making a mistake, and if I'm following the guy too close, the guy in front too close, it'll be me who's doing the mistake. So I wanted to keep a gap for most of the time, and then strike when the time is right, and maybe there's a back marker or something.
And looking ahead to Spa next week, have you got much experience around the track with the 49, or is this going to be another track for you to learn? And how do you think you'll fare next week? Do you think you can get back in that top step of the podium?
I think so, yeah. I've been racing there before my first season. I think I finished fourth or fifth, which was very, very, very good result for my skill back then. And Mick said that any setup that works in Barcelona will work very well in Spa, and I got a good setup for Barcelona. So we'll see. I'm gonna go for a win at Spa.
That's what I like to hear. And before we let you go, Topi, anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, the McKenzie boys. They haven't still visited my place yet, so it's a good thing. Yeah.
Great stuff. That was a third place finisher, Topi Kortiniemi, joining us. And up next, Joe is standing by with Benjamin Zocco.
Yeah, Ben had a race-long battle there with Bill Tyler. Tell us about that, Ben, because it certainly looked intense from our view.
Oh, g'day, Joe. It's good to hear your voice again. It's been too long.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear yours as well. Sounds like it's a little bit late at night there, having to tiptoe around the house.
Yes, that's the case always with this. But yeah, no, I had a really good race. I was lucky to get a good start and get past a couple of guys, I think, maybe. Not quite sure what happened there, but found myself behind Bill. And Bill is like exactly the same speed as me everywhere. So I thought to myself, oh, well, I'm happy just if I can just keep up with him and put the pressure on and see if he makes some mistakes. But I know from experience he doesn't make mistakes easy. And it was just as likely for me to make a mistake, actually. So it was about keeping a cool head, putting the pressure on. And eventually he did make a mistake, and I think he cut the corkscrew, got a slow down, which gave me my chance to get past. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then it was a matter of not freaking out and making mistakes after I got past him for the last 5 or so laps. But such an exciting race with the pressure, and I'm just like dripping with sweat. It's so good. It's just what's so good about this series is these intense battles with your close rivals that you get over the years. So I implore anyone who's thinking about giving this car a go, just do it. Just get in there. There's always going to be someone at the same speed as you to have a race-long battle with.
Yeah, it always seems to work out that way. It's one of the things I like about this car as well. We were a bit surprised at the lack of attrition at this track. What do you think kept everybody so safe here today? Because this place is kind of notorious for being able to throw it away in a heartbeat.
I'm hoping maybe the community, all talking on Discord. Again, if you want to join us, a good place to get us is on Discord. Everyone was talking about how that's going to be what makes or breaks your race here, is even like the slightest mistake. So I'm hoping that everyone was listening to that advice and everyone was being super cautious to not make any mistakes, because usually you get a whole bunch of DNFs in the corkscrew or turn one, or hey, actually maybe the rolling start was a blessing in disguise there.
Yeah, that's true too. That sort of non-traditional start could have helped out for sure. Well, congratulations on a top 10 out there today, a wonderful 6. Anybody you want to give a shout out to while we got you?
Yeah, thanks to Bill for a good race as always, Michelle for the setup, and look, I think I don't think Mick swore earlier. I think it's his accent. If you go back, I have a feeling he said two different things that sounded like it, because
yes, that's what I've been told behind the scenes. I've been told behind the scenes. So yes, thank you. So apologies for Mick on that one. But that was Ben Zoko, our 6th place finisher here today. It's not early in the morning for me, but I'm not an early riser, clearly, as we close up today with a big thank you to the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage for the Grand Prix Legends Series. But also, we want to give a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for I get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Ryan, Sean, and Dougie. You can find out more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Keep a link in the description below. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next week, we go to Spa, Saturday, August 21st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. But we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar. Stick around. It's another regular Saturday for us with the Camel Series coming up at Barber at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.